Hey YouTube, back with another project. I'm working on my 91 Pathfinder. This is not part of the Tale of Two Sisters build. This is just something that I've been procrastinating on and need to get it taken care of. Essentially, I built this bumper here when I was living in Arizona. And in Arizona, they don't require you to have front license plates, so there's not I didn't plan to have a license plate mounted to it. Now that I'm in New York, I need the front license plate. So what I'm doing is I've got a receiver here in the front of the bumper that I use for a tow shackle that fits in there or whatever I may need. I could put one of my hitches on the front of there and help me back trailers in a little bit easier. Whatever, doesn't matter. That's why I put that there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a male end that'll slide in there, and that is a license plate bracket that'll hold a license plate. This front plate from here to here is a perfect spot on for the height of a license plate, so I don't really have any room for error there. I've got to make sure my measurements are spot on because I don't want this sticking above here at all, and I don't want it hanging below. If it hangs below, it's better than sticking up, because that'll be someplace for you to grab it, bump into it, cut yourself on it, whatever. So that's what I'm working on. Here's the pieces. They're all cut and ready to weld up. I could have just went out and got some 2-inch square tubing, drilled a hole in it, welded a plate to it for the license plate to bolt onto. But I didn't want to go out and buy a 24-foot length of tubing to do that. I do have some tubing here, but the wall thickness is not good enough for that. This is 2-inch tubing, but it's only, I think, 1/8 inch wall. The problem with that is that, no, is it 1/8 inch? Yeah, I think it's 1/8 inch. But the problem with it is when you go with a thinner wall, your corners don't have the same radius. Basically, let me show you the difference. This is 1 3/4 inches, I believe it is. I don't want to measure it right now. I know it's smaller, but it doesn't matter. There's a 90-degree corner. This is 2-inch by 1/4 inch wall. So you're dealing with that drastic of a difference when it comes to the radius on that corner, and that's why it will not fit in here. Okay, if I use thin wall tubing, it would never go in because the corners protrude too much. So rather than going out and buying a 24-foot length of tubing so I can cut off 6 inches of it, I just cut off these two pieces. There's one down there, off of some old hitches that I don't really use. This is actually one hitch. It's just an adjustable height hitch. I don't really like it. Don't plan on using it, but it's still usable. I just cut the very ends off of here, so it's still functional. So, and then I took the 1 3/4 inch tubing, and I'm gonna roll it together just like this. I just got to make sure that it's squared up perfect. I'll tack it here in a minute once I figure out a good plan to get it all squared up and clamped together. Make sure it fits inside of there. If it fits inside of there, then I'm going to proceed to keep welding it. And then once it's all fully welded, if there's anything that gets in the way, I'll grind it down as far as sliding in there. And then I'll take it over to the drill press and drill the pin in here. Outside of that, it's pretty straightforward. I'm going to cap one side of it just to keep moisture out of it. The other side will be capped with the plate that I use to mount the license plate to. Then I'll paint it with chassis saver. So that's the project. It's going to be one video. I'm just going to edit in everything, so I'll see you guys in a second. Here's what we got. Here's what I came up with. I had a piece of, 1-inch flat bar, which is 1/8 inch thick. Because this tubing here is 1 3/4 inch, and this tubing here is 2 inches. That's 1/4 inch. Split that in half, that's 1/8 inch. So I got that 1/8 inch flat bar underneath this and clamped it to the table. Then I'm just going to sit these on here. I'm not sure if I'm going to clamp them I might. Probably just use one of these cheap Harbor Freight slide clamps and maybe a couple of them just to pull it tight, and then throw my tack welds on there. Because I'm centered vertically, but I'm not necessarily centered horizontally. I don't think it's going to be that crucial. I think if I eyeball this, the difference between that side and that side, that I'll be okay. It's not like a super tight fit or nothing, so as long as that looks like it's centered, it should be good. So I'll talk to you guys in a second. So this is the clamp setup I came up with. Just a bunch of scrap. It's ugly as hell, but it works. It's all centered up. That's it. I'm getting ready to weld it right now. So I'll see you guys in a second. Okay. Got it fully welded. So you can see here all the way around. Now it's blazing hot, so I'm not going to even, maybe I'll try a little bit. I know for sure I'm going to have to grind down some of the welds for fitment purposes. Hopefully not too much. Actually, maybe not at all. You know what? Not at all. It's going to fit perfect. See, there you go. Nice. So, see you guys in a second. Okay, so basically done. I'm only going to mount them to the bottom, and the reason why is because for me to do the top part, I would have had to have a much larger piece of this 16 gauge sheet, and I don't have any. Or I would have had to like piece it all together to do the top part. It's really not necessary, to be perfectly honest with you. This works out great. So obviously these welds here are not nearly as nice as those. I was concerned about weld buildup, so I just kind of ran it across there way too fast, just to get it to grab a hold of it. It did penetrate. Let me put this on here so you can see how this fits. There you go. Doesn't get much better than that. So I actually don't mind that it hangs over these holes a little bit, because then I can grab it, pull it out of there. So let me take these off real quick. I just did that basically just to line up these bolts here while I tacked them on. See, so you can see here, even though I went way too fast, I had the heat up on the welder pretty high, way too high to be welding 16 gauge sheet, but that's fine, because I knew that I was going to have to run those beads super fast, and they weren't going to penetrate into the 1/4 inch wall very well. And it didn't really matter, because it's going to hold a ton of weight. Those welds will be more than adequate. It'd have been nice if it would have looked as good as those ones. Can't even get it to focus because of the glare. Whatever. But I think it looks good. It's accomplished what I want. Now what I need to do is I need to put it into the receiver here, and then I'll have to climb underneath and mark the holes so that I can drill out the holes for the pin and paint it, and we're done. Okay. I'll show you the hole drilled out, but I'm probably not going to show you the product finished, like painted, just because I'm not sure I'm going to paint it right away. I got a little bit of that chassis saver left, but I think what I'm going to do is hold out on painting this until I'm ready to paint a couple other things on, like that Saab. I need to paint something on that, so I'll probably hold off on painting this until I get to that point, which shouldn't be too much longer, maybe by next weekend. So, anyway, talk to you guys. Okay, last part of this video, it's done. Holes drilled, it's perfect. Everything's done. I mean, outside of painting, obviously, but like I said, I'm gonna paint it with chassis saver, but I'm not gonna do it right away. I'm gonna wait a little bit, just so I can utilize the paint a little bit better, so I'm not wasting it. The only problem I'm having at this point is that these holes are like super perfect for this pin. Okay, it's a 1/2 inch pin. See how tight that is? The problem with that is that there's very little give, so I'm gonna have to, once I had it in here, I had to basically hit it with a hammer to get it to go all the way in. So I might have to kind of ream these out just a tiny bit just to get it to fit easier. You know, I don't want to be fighting with this thing out on the trail when I have to remove the license plate to put the shackle on. But outside of that, it's done. So hope you guys enjoyed that. Maybe it'll give you guys some ideas to, you know, for those of you that need something like this for your own rig. And yeah, subscribe, comment, like, and check out Alvarez Metalworks Facebook page down below. The link's in the description. Go like the page, and I will talk to you guys later.